problems within the optometric practice will always arise, whether it be controllable things or uncontrollable things. Things like delays, mistakes, wrong orders, appointment no-shows, change in scripts, whatever it is may arise at the least or the worst expected time. And so as a practice, it's very, very important that you are well prepared for whatever that may arise during the course of the day. And the true test of a business actually that esteems itself as one that specializes in great service delivery is how it handles things when things go wrong, or how it deals with things when things go wrong. So it's very, very important that you understand that problems are going to happen, no matter how amazing your practice is, no matter how you've got the most amazing team, whether or irrespective of the fact that you've got world-class equipment that you use for diagnostic purposes, the fact that you could have a beautiful looking layout within your practice, great products that you sell or that you have as management solutions for your respective consumers, it doesn't matter. Problems are going to arise. And so you have to make sure that one of the first things that you establish within your practice is, or a question that I would have for you is, in your practice, do you have a standard operating procedures manual that governs the standard of excellence that the practice needs to operate from? A lot of optometric practices don't have that, and that's where things go wrong, because they don't have a guideline of what excellence is within the practice. The whole team is not aware of the rules and regulations that have been set in place. What is the standard of excellence pertaining to those rules and regulations? It's very, very important that everyone is on the same page. Challenges will always arise within a practice, but when the entire team is well prepared to handle them, success is guaranteed no matter what. So preparation increases the team's capacity to effectively drive sales through service delivery. So when service delivery goes up, sales will continue to increase. When service delivery goes down, sales will continue to decrease. So you have to understand that that is a fact. Very, very important that as a team, you are constantly communicating on what is the service excellence that the practice is operating from, whether it be product knowledge, whether it be patient communication, the different components within the practice. You have to have a standard operating procedures manual. Practices that operate at the top of their game globally, they always have a manual. And one of the first things that happens when you join that particular team, you get given the training manual or that standard operating procedures manual that you go through. And once you have gone through it, you will actually complete a short assessment on that which you have read. That is very, very important, that once you join a company, you get given this manual that you can go through and then do a short assessment to ensure that you fully understood that which you are going through. Post that, you then have the responsibility to ensure that all questions where things were not clear or there was a lot of ambiguity that existed between what you are reading with what is actually happening in the environment that you're working in, or what you are failing to understand, it then gives you an opportunity to then engage your employer in terms of, look, I was reading this, my interpretation of what I was reading is as follows. Am I interpreting it correctly? Then you are having that discussion with or amongst the team to ensure that post your assessment, post you reading this particular manual, you are on the same page with what the standard of the practice is. And it does not stop there. As a team, it's very important that you understand that your manual will constantly need to be updated. Your manual will constantly need to be adjusted, revisited, as and when it is necessary, because things change, things evolve, the business evolves, the way we relate with consumers evolves. You have to have your manual taking into consideration your social media approach, your marketing activities, your digital strategies, your online strategies, whatever it is that affects the business. The details pertaining to it have to be in the manual. So you're not only putting the rules and regulations in your manual, You are putting the standard of excellence with regards to all activities pertaining to the business in the manual. If you need to have short video clips or record your training sessions, very, very important. That's one of the things that we highly recommend, that you actually record your training sessions or your discussions around particular topics that are of interest or are of importance to the practice. And you put that on a folder somewhere, that or on a Dropbox folder where everyone in the practice can have immediate and easy access to, so that even when employees or current employees leave and new employees come, those new employees can go and download that or watch those videos on the folder that you have in place, so that they quickly get into the culture that exists in the practice. We have seen a lot of optometric practices hiring cheap labor and not spending the necessary time required to train those respective individuals in ensuring that they're going to be operating at the level at which the practice requires them to. Then they get shocked or surprised 8 months later when that particular staff member is performing way below par, way below that which was expected of them. So we highly encourage you to have a standard operating procedures manual that helps you determine what are your respective processes pertaining to various components of your business. And so in this particular video training, oh, by the way, if you do need a standard operating procedures manual, we have developed a guideline that practices can utilize in their practices. So do get in touch with us. We are more than happy to make it available for you so that your practice can operate at the highest level of excellence, revenue growth, and transformation that it deserves to. So it's very, very important that you don't hesitate in ensuring that you have a standard operating procedures manual for your optometric practice. So let's get right into it. Problem number 1, appointment no-show. This is an interesting one. Here's the thing about consumers. Remember we said earlier on in the training that consumers are divided into patients, customers, and clients. And so you have to have a clear understanding how appointments work with regards to different types of consumers. Let's look at patients. Here's the thing that you need to understand about patients. Patients are very skeptical about eye examination. So when they make the appointment, your job is not to focus on the pair of spectacles that you want them to have. Rather, you need to outline the process involved in the examination, in the wide range of management solutions that are available, that would be solutions for them pertaining to whatever the diagnosis will be regarding their visual concerns. And so patients need to go through that educational process first when they're making their appointment. So a patient, for example, is that person that picks up the phone and calls the practice to make an appointment. You say, hi, can I make my appointment to have my eyes tested? Easiest question to ask. So, have you been with us before? No, it will be my first time examining my eyes. Wow, fantastic, sir. When you come in for your appointment, when would you like to come in actually? I would like to come in tomorrow. Or when is the next available appointment? Why are you going to give them 2 days from now? If today is available, why don't you give them today? So tell them, we've got an opening just happened right today at 3 o'clock. Are you available to come through? Today is a bit tight. How about tomorrow? Let me just quickly look at the diary as I'm speaking to you. We've got 11 o'clock tomorrow and again at 2 o'clock tomorrow. What time would best suit you? I'll take 2 o'clock. So you mentioned earlier on that you have never had your eyes examined. Well, we are super excited about examining your eyes. This is the process that we're going to go through. So we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. And you get all the necessary details, everything that you need to conclude on that telephone conversation. But you are educating them, you're giving them the reassurance that you're listening, very, very important, to what their problem is, why they want to examine their eyes. And then you make sure that you are making reference to the importance of us examining their eyes and what are the possible solutions that might exist in solving their problem. Whereas with customers, whether existing or new, they have preconceived ideas about what they need. Is it working or not? Should they be coming to you in the first place or go elsewhere? What would be different this time if they come to you for their visual needs versus them going elsewhere? And the overall visual experience that took place before needs to be taken into consideration to today. What you want is to ensure that you are exceeding those expectations that they've had for themselves that you perhaps are not aware of. And so very, very important that you distinguish yourself as a value-adding practice when you're communicating with customers. Who is the customer? The customer is that person that perhaps has only been to the practice once before, or is that person who has been wearing glasses for years but has been getting their visual related solutions from another practice, and they come into your practice for the very first time. So one of the things that you have an opportunity to do is to establish yourself as a value adding practice. And one of the things that you can actually immediately do when you're communicating with a customer is highlight that this person is currently wearing glasses that has made this appointment, so that the team is fully aware that, wait a minute, if this person has been wearing their glasses from another practice over the years and they're coming to us for the first time, what are the key areas that we need to be aware of? We need to be aware of the fact that we have to give them better products. We need to have better services. Our processes, our protocols, our procedures need to be top notch, so that whatever that he or she has experienced at the previous practice, they're going to experience it better here today when they come for their appointment. So you need to have a clear indicator on your roster or your diary that this person that is coming is the first time that they're coming to us as a practice, but they have been wearing glasses before. So you're indicating that. So everyone then is fully aware that this person that is coming, this is this person and this is their profile. Then you are in a position to then exceed those preconceived or dispel those preconceived ideas that they might have, and give them reassurances that they made the right decision by coming to your optometric practice. Whereas clients, they will treat their appointment as a by the way if you're treating it as a by the way. What do we mean? When a client picks up the phone and makes the appointment, or drops an email, or goes on your online platforms to secure the appointment, very important that all the information pertaining to their medical aid, all of that, it's sorted out long before they come for their appointment. So that when they arrive at the appointment, they know that everything is already preset, it's ready for them. So if you need to confirm benefits because they've been on the same medical aid for the last 10 years or 5 years, you need to confirm benefits, get in touch with them, tell them that you've already confirmed their benefits and medical aid is going to pay for that. Have products readily available for them, because by now, after 10 years, you should be in a position to know your clients. After 5 years, in actual fact, the person who comes to your practice for the third time, for the second time, you need to be in a position where you have an idea of what they like, what they need, and what type of products would be best suited for their look, and what type of products do they usually come and look for, or what you have recommended before. And it goes back to the video training where we made reference to the category placement and the importance of having a snapshot of the respective individual, that you know who you're communicating with, so that you can effectively manage that individual. So basically, those are your 3 different types of individuals. A question that you might ask is to say, Obi, how do we deal with people that don't show up for their appointments? That's a very, very good question that you might have. And it's very, very simple. When people make their appointments, a lot of practices miss out on this opportunity of sending the confirmation of the appointment. Don't confuse appointment reminders with appointment confirmations. So if someone calls to make their appointment, you then know that. Ask them, sir or ma'am, can we send you a WhatsApp information with confirmation of your appointment post this phone call? Or can we send you an email? Which one would you prefer? They will say, please send me an email or a WhatsApp. Then, when you send confirmation, the practice, this goes back to the standard operating procedures manual. Your practice needs to have clear guidelines in place as to if people cancel their appointment, when should they have canceled their appointment, and what are the consequences of canceling their appointment post the time frames that have been given to them regarding the cancellation of the appointment. So if people cancel their appointment an hour before, but they're not rescheduling it, there should be certain consequences pertaining to a certain percentage of the consultation fee that they need to be paying for, if need be. Practices that operate at the top of their game, that's how they work. Why are you not doing that? Because you don't want to operate at the top of your game. If a person cancels their appointment versus rescheduling their appointment, the time frame in terms of they move the appointment to today to 6 months from now. It's different from moving the appointment from today to the following day. So you have to have those clear guidelines so that when you send in that confirmation of the appointment, you are attaching appointment guidelines pertaining to the practice. And so you have to communicate that. If someone made the appointment on the online platforms, send the communication via those platforms. So what I'm trying to say here is that whatever method that you are using to communicate with your patients or your customers or your clients, make sure that you are sending appointment confirmations via email or WhatsApp or on your online platforms with that attachment or link to the protocols that are in place pertaining to appointments. Very, very important. And then when you're reminding them for your appointment, you just purely reminding them about their appointment. Don't confuse appointment confirmation with appointment reminders. So it's very, very important that you distinguish the two. And a lot of optometric practices only focus on the appointment reminders and don't have appointment confirmation mechanisms that they actually employ. So that's basically the difference between the patient, the customer, and the client in terms of how do you approach making of appointments, and when there's an appointment no-show, how do you go about that? Next, delayed jobs. This is an interesting one. You need to establish a very good working relationship with your lab if you don't have an on-site lab facilities within the practice that you're working with. If possible, know how the lens producing or production times or time frames work so that you can collate your job orders with theirs when placing your orders. So you need to have an understanding, especially now. A lot of laboratories have online platforms. So with regards to the online platforms, you are able then to track your order. So you then, as a team, it's very, very important that you get one of your reps to come in and explain the online ordering system of the company that they're working for. And they need to indicate to you that, okay, orders that are placed like this is the process that they go through. Single vision orders, unsurfaced lenses, surface lenses, whatever it is that you are ordering, you need to know what the different time frames of it are. And you need to constantly make sure that you are educating yourself on the different type of orders that have been placed and what are the different type of time frames that exist for the different types of orders. So as a team, you might have to, within your standard operating procedures manual, don't make it a long book, just make it a one pager for everything. This topic or this subject matter, a one pager, this is what you need to know. Next one, this is what you need to know. Next one. So you want to have point form discussion points that are pertaining to various subject matters. So for example, with regards time frames on the online ordering software that's available from the laboratory, you then have clear guidelines to say, okay, if we place this order and a patient is phoning or you need to follow up on an order, you then know that this order falls under this guideline that you have on your standard operating procedures manual, so that you can effectively communicate with your various consumers. So even after you've done the eye examination, you place your orders and the patient asks you, how long are my glasses going to take? You already know that this person is going to be getting a particular type of lens, and this lens will go through this process with regards to the manufacturing of that particular product. You are in a position then to effectively communicate that with the respective individual. And so never set unrealistic expectations to the consumer that you have no control over. Remember, convenience and efficiency in your delivery service as a whole go a long way in securing a potential fruitful relationship between the consumer and the practice. And understand that the consumer you're dealing with, you have to understand the type of consumer you're dealing with. Some individuals are going to give you an indication from the time the order is placed that they need their order within 3 days. So don't set unrealistic expectations with regards something that you are not in a position to deliver on. And if it's something that you are always following up on online orders, but the individual has given you an indication that they're leaving town and they need their job within 2 days, why are you just waiting for that online ordering process to go through those channels? Why don't you pick up the phone, get in touch with the necessary company and put pressure on them to say, look, we've got an unusual circumstances or situation and we need your assistance in this regard. Are you in a position to help us? Yes, we are in a position to help you. Are you giving us reassurances that you will be able to deliver on this? Yes, we will be able to deliver on this. Then you are in a position to communicate with your consumer to say, sir, the lab has confirmed that even though this job normally takes 5 working days, they will produce it in 3 working days, and we should have it ready for you within the next 2 days. And in that regard, can I give you a call the day after tomorrow to just give you an update that everything is still on track? Yes, make a note of it, that you're going to call so and so, and make a note of it where everyone can easily see that whether you are at the practice or someone else is at the practice on that day, they need to follow up with that particular individual, follow up with the lab, that they can communicate effectively with the lab. Remember, the thing about it is that you have to deliver on what you make a promise on. That is imperative for effective problem management to take place. Very, very important, always make contact first with the consumer, never the other way around. So whatever that you have communicated with the consumer, always make sure that you are the one that communicates again first. Never wait for them to get in touch with you. So especially when you've made promises, if you have made a promise to a particular consumer, don't then wait for the consumer to be the one who follows up on the job. If you have communicated that this job will be ready in 3 days, why are you waiting for the 3rd day to follow up with the respective lab? Follow up the very next day. Follow up the very same day again in the afternoon. Guys, I really need this order. Guys, I really need this order. Put pressure according to whatever guidelines and framework that is available, that you can ensure that you are delivering, and keep the respective individual informed at all times of where their job is, so that you don't have a situation where they've spent their money, you have not communicated to them that there's a delay, and then it's only once you see that there's a delay that you are communicating with them. So make sure that those circumstances that happen where you need to put pressure on the lab and keep the individual in constant communication, you do so. Next problem, incorrect order or change in script. Constantly train each other with regards to standard operating procedures in the practice. Training is a continuous process which happens over and over again in various procedures or on various procedures, systems, protocols, and processes in the practice. Communication with all parties needs to take place as promptly as possible, and all discussions need to be clearly understood by everyone. Don't hesitate to have the uncomfortable money talk in rectifying the problem. So whatever problem that has taken place, if there is, let's say for example, a patient ordered a pair of spectacles with anti-reflective coatings and a tint, but their problem required them to have had a premium anti-reflective coating, and the practice has prescribed a basic anti-reflective coating, and the patient comes back 3 months later saying they can't see with their glasses, but the prescription is correct. It's just that the anti-reflective coating is not doing that which they needed to do when they're sitting in front of a computer or whatever the case that they need their glasses for. You then have to then have those uncomfortable discussions with regards upgrading potential from the current product that they have to the premium product that they need. Have those conversations. Here's the thing though, when value was the center of what you did or provided as a service, it's then easier to communicate anything money related with the necessary individual. And consumers need to be kept informed at all times, especially on things that they have spent their hard-earned money on. So don't treat an incorrect order or a change in script as it's going to go through the same process. Have some form of urgency when you are following up on these type of jobs or these type of orders, in ensuring that the consumer can get back their glasses or contact lenses with as much urgency as possible. Next, delayed contact lens orders. Here's the thing about contact lens orders, and to a large extent, your spectacle orders, but we'll make the example with regards to contact lens orders. Category consumer placement for the contact lens wearers is critical from the onset. Don't approach contact lens wearers the same way that you do spectacle wearers, especially if they've been wearing contact lenses for a while. You already know you already know the most about in terms of the type of lenses that they order. So if they order dailies, if they order monthlies, if they order a 6 month supply, if they order a yearly supply, they are usually those type of individuals that wait the very last minute to place their orders, and they end up placing their orders because they have to go somewhere for traveling purposes, and now they realize that the supply that they have with contact lenses is not going to be sufficient for them to go on their trip. Now they urgently need their contact lenses, and they put pressure on the practice. That happens all the time, right? Especially during festive seasons where everyone is traveling. So how do you mitigate against that? Very, very simple. You need to have a category and placement card available for your contact lens orders, so that you know all the different individuals in your practice that wear contact lenses. You need to establish the ordering cycle for each wearer and try to get to a point in your business where you know when they are to order and do so for them. And so we can help you establish that toolkit that you can use to effectively have that in place for your practice. But you need to get the contact lens procedures communication right from the onset, especially with new wearers. So if someone orders a pair of contact lenses and it was a 6-month supply, closer to in month 5, 2 weeks to go, send a reminder that contact lenses order is due in 2 weeks time. Can we place the order for you? Communicate, set those, and communicate that with the consumer from the onset. Tell them that when you order a 90 pack, we communicate with you on this day, because these are the guidelines that we have given you in terms of how you should wear your 90 pack. When you've purchased a 3-month supply or a 6-month supply, these are the time frames that we are going to be communicating with you in terms of placing your orders for you. So when consumers know that information, they are then expecting you to communicate with them and train them. You want to make sure that you've got efficient e-commerce platforms available on your website that will make the process much easier for you regarding contact lens orders. It's going to make the process much smoother, and it's going to make you have better service delivery protocols and procedures and processes in place for your optometric practice. Next one, poor service delivery. The thing about this one is that you need to own up to the problem and take full responsibility of the situation. Consumers are interested in one thing and one thing only. Will the matter be resolved, and how long will it take to resolve that? That's it. If you understand that, it makes it easy then to know that, wait a minute, we need to operate with a certain level of urgency with regards to this particular problem. And poor service delivery impacts the sales in the business more than anything else. It is imperative that you never play the blame game when it comes to who was at fault. Get in touch with consumers first. I'll reiterate again. Get in touch with consumers first. Take ownership. So even if you are not the one who did wrong in that particular situation, but the person who did wrong is not there, take ownership. That consumers don't care who was at fault. Consumers don't care who did not place the order. Consumers care about, will the matter be resolved, and how long will it take to get it resolved. That is it. The bickering can happen once the consumer has left, once their problem has been solved. Make sure that you are not having this, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that in front of the consumer? Doesn't matter whether you've been in the practice for 1 month or 10 years. Make sure that in front of the consumer gets the notion or gets the sense that this team is going to go out of its way to ensure that this does not happen again, and that I get that which I need. Very, very important. And the next one here, lost sales opportunity. In a monthly cycle, there should be weekly sales and service excellence training on products, procedures, processes, and of course, people. Select various topics within your practice, such as frames 1 week, contact lenses the next week, spectacle lenses the next week, selling techniques the next week, and then get training done on that particular component. Develop a standard operating procedures manual on all the training materials that need to be covered in the practice. As a practice, you need to have regular time set aside to train everyone so that everyone can be on the same page of service excellence in the practice. And there are far more challenges though that we have not alluded to in this video training, that this was just a guideline to help you go on about your way as a team in saying, guys, what are the list of potential problems that might arise in the practice, and how do we go about solving each and every one of the potential problems or obstacles that tend to happen in our practice in the community that we serve. And so use these guidelines that we have alluded to as a way to start working on how do you go about effectively developing the standard operating procedures manual for your practice, and not only having it as a document, but it being part of the organization's culture in terms of how you do things within the practice. And if you need help or assistance with that, do get in touch with us, because we are more than glad and happy to assist you in that. Always remember the thing about excellence. It should always be the order of the day. Nothing else, nothing less, nothing more. Great service delivery in an environment leads to increased sales and profits in that particular environment. The one forms the foundational basis of the other one. And so if everything works great, but the service delivery is not at the level at which it's supposed to be, sales will not be at the level at which they're supposed to be. Service delivery is what yields the sales in that business. And so when service delivery is functioning at an optimum, sales will function or will be at a maximum. And so a very quick assessment tool that can help you determine whether or not service delivery is at the level at which it's supposed to be in your practice is the following. Ask yourself the following questions. Number one, would you be willing to pay for the service or services you are currently giving to the consumer? Number two, would you be satisfied with the service you are rendering if it had to be rendered to you in exactly the same way? Number three, do you consider the service that you are giving at any given point in time to be the best in the business? Number four, would you recommend the service that you are giving? Next, if the entire sale or deal between the practice and the consumer was purely dependent on the service that was being given, what type of sale will that be? And so we hope you have thoroughly enjoyed this problem-solving process and the impact that service delivery has with regards to the sales in your business. And you have to be competent and excellent when it comes to service delivery, because that is going to greatly impact the sales in the practice.